What is going on, golf fans? This is Jeff Hartman, and welcome to another golf course review. It's been a long time since we've done this, and since the last golf course review that I did, I've also described myself, rightfully so, as the least traveled golfer that I know. Meaning, in terms of the places that I've played, I mean, I've done an entire podcast on this. You can go check it out. But in terms of the places that I've played, the states where I have actually golfed, it's a small amount. We'll put it that way. But that doesn't mean that in my local area, I haven't played a lot of golf courses. And maybe, just maybe, you are in that same area. So in this case, I'm located in Western Maryland, in the Hagerstown, Maryland area. And I'm really close from where I live to the Mason-Dixon line. I can be in Pennsylvania in 5 minutes. And so for me, a lot of the courses that I play, they expand into Maryland, Western Maryland, Pennsylvania, and even into the Eastern Panhandle of West Virginia. In this case, for this specific episode, we are going north of the Mason-Dixon line, but not very far, to a course called the Greencastle Golf Club, which is formerly known as the Greencastle Greens Golf Course. At one time, it was owned by Mr. Ron Jaworski, former Philadelphia Eagle quarterback. It has changed ownership multiple times and now goes by Greencastle Golf Club. It is a semi-private club, meaning you can be a member there, but you can also go as a member of the public and play there. It is only one course. So you have one course, 18 holes. Here's a little bit of information about the golf course from who was the architect, the course architect, to the logistics of when they opened, all of that. So let's talk about the architect first. Robert Elder designed this golf course. He was born in Dubois, Pennsylvania in 1927 and unfortunately passed away in 2017. And I found out by doing some quick research on Elder was that he actually did several other courses in our area that I have played, and I had no idea. So Robert Elder does not have a lot of courses to his name as a golf course designer. I believe he only has about 5 or 6, but 3 of those are all within the area. One was a country club I worked in college, never knew that. Another one in the town where I live, played there a bunch. So this was actually pretty cool to see that Robert Elder was actually the course architect for a lot of courses that I know very well. This golf course is relatively young, comparatively speaking. When you have courses like several that are close to me that are back in the 1920s, this is 1991, officially opening in 1992. It's a young course. It's changed a lot. And it is a par 72. And a distance from the tips is just shy of 7,000 yards, 6,905 yards. The rating is 72.6 with a 129 slope. This is a really, really interesting golf course, a really interesting design. I'm going to read you a little synopsis that is on Golf Pass that sums it up well, but there are some changes. We'll talk about that. Greencastle Golf Club covers more than 200 acres of rolling countryside studded with mature trees and tranquil ponds. The winding layout has many doglegs and incorporates a variety of elevation changes. Golfers should be prepared for a fair amount of blind shots as well as uneven lies. The spacious golf course has several holes that will please long hitters, but this layout will test your accuracy and course management skills too. Water comes into play most memorably on Greencastle's signature 3rd hole, where there is a man-made waterfall and fountain, but the par 4 10th is the toughest. This hole has an island green that is cut in half by a large drop in elevation, a good test for the 2 following holes, which are not any less challenging. And that's a good description of the golf course, a very good description of the golf course. But the course has changed a lot over the years. So to give you an example, the hole that they talk about, the signature hole, number 3, it says the hole is the man-made waterfall and fountain. So the number 3 has changed a lot over the course of the years. So when I first played Greencastle, it was probably in the early 2000s. And yes, it's an elevated, you have a very long, it's a long par 3. Even from the white tees, it's going to be just shy of 200 yards, and you have to hit it. It's got to be up. You got to get the ball up. It's an elevated green. And from the tips, it's over 200 yards. And they had a waterfall, which actually had a collection pond at the top. And so a lot of people, they saw the waterfall, but there were some hidden hazards on this hole. So at the top of the green, there is that small collection area for the waterfall. So you could hit it and think, I cleared the waterfall, we're good. but you go into the lake at the top just in front of the green. Then in the back of the green, there's another lake. And so it really is interesting. And this green is severely sloped with a mound in the middle. And so wherever they have the pin, it's typically very difficult. They have changed some tee boxes and have some upward tees. The last time I played there, we played the white tees. It was about 160, 165 yards up the hill, and it can be windy. But just to give you an example that now the change that I've talked about, that upper collection area is basically gone. So there's still the water long, water short, but now if you hit it on top of that ledge, it's not going to be there's not going to be a penalty, and I think that's fair. And that's one of the critiques of this course that a lot of people talk about is that some of the holes it doesn't seem fair, and you want golf courses to give you a fair test of your game. This course is target golf at its finest. And whether you're talking about things like that par three that I just described, where you could hit a really good shot and come up 2 yards short, and next thing you know, you find yourself dropping and it's a hazard. That's an example. There's other holes where if you've never played the course before and you're thinking it's a par four, I can just hit a driver, and next thing you know, you went way too far. You shouldn't have hit driver. The signage is not the best in terms of letting you know what is coming up. The signage is not the best in terms of giving you an idea about dog legs, about blind shots. There are a couple holes, one par five in particular, where they actually have to have a bell so that when you've cleared that spot and you've hit your second shots, you can ring the bell to let the people on the tee know that you are okay and they're good to go. This is one of those quirky courses. It is also a course, though, where if you score in the 70s, especially if you play the tips, if you score in the 70s, you keep that scorecard because you played well from tee to green. These greens are huge. They're undulating. Talked about the target golf. Talk about danger off the tee and even with your second shot. And it's not as if there is a large margin for error. A lot of these holes, there is almost no margin for error. It is one of those situations where you could hit a good drive and you miss the fairway by 5 yards, just 5 yards, and you find yourself OB, you find yourself in a hazard, you find yourself losing a golf ball. I understand that's the game of golf, but you have different course designs and different course structures. And it just so happens to be that Robert Elder's probably his most reviewed and welcomed course is one in my town. And it gets rave reviews because it is open. It's not as penalizing from the tee and the approach shot. It's a way more forgiving golf course. Greencastle Golf Club is not a forgiving golf course. It is not. It'll punish you. It'll punish you in multiple ways. And when you look at some of the reviews of this golf course on Golf Pass, a lot of this is very factual in terms of what do you expect. So, like someone said, what a great find. I was coming through the area and was looking for a course on the way, looked good on the web and gave it a try. The staff were excellent rates, played the front nine with a regular, great guy. The best was the course itself, outstanding conditions, fun layout, a great greens, but don't plan to walk this one, very hilly. The carts were geared well for the course. We'll be back next time. We're in the area. Can't recommend this public course enough. But other people complained about things like pace of play. Other people had complained about that the target golf, it's not so much fun if you're not a great golfer, I guess, so to speak. Some people even went back and updated it, saying that it's a long drive, although the rates are good. It's one of those things where you just leave sometimes feeling like the course kind of got you. And that's not a good feeling, not at all. And so what are some of the amenities at Greencastle Golf Club? First and foremost, they changed things around. The very first time I went to Greencastle, upstairs, that was their pro shop, and that's where they had a bar and stuff. Well, they've switched it. The pro shop is down the lower level. Upstairs is the Fireside Pub. It's a simple menu, but it's good food. Really average price. It's not cheap. It's not expensive. He's right in the middle. I think it's great for post round. If you have a group of people that are going golfing and afterwards you want to sit around, you want to settle up your scores, your bets, stuff like that, you go to the Fireside Pub, you can get some good food, have some drinks, laugh. They've got televisions up there. Really good place, really good location. I like the fact that that's right there and it's kind of synonymous with golf. They do offer, which is really interesting. I didn't know this, played the course last season with one of the members that I know there. And they had, and it dates back to the early 1800s, a farmhouse on the property. It's been renovated and you can actually do a stay and play there. You can book that house. You can stay there. They give you special rates on golf. So stay and play is a little bit different compared to other resorts, but at the same time, they do have a stay and play option if you would want to stay in an old early 1800s farmhouse on the property. Now, I will say that the location of this golf course in Greencastle, Pennsylvania, provides a lot of opportunities for other courses in the surrounding area. So, if you were to go to Greencastle, it's not that you have a ton of places to stay in Greencastle, but you can stay in the surrounding areas, whether it's Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, Hagerstown, Maryland, and you could go play several other courses all within a very short drive of that location. So, Greencastle Greens, it's there's nothing really near the course, but the course is close enough to major interstates, Interstate 81 mainly, which travels north and south, and also you can get there via Interstate 70, which travels east and west. But amenities, they have a full practice facility. I can't say it's the best practice facility, but they do have a full practice facility. And again, really great staff, really great pro shop. It's really great in that respect. So now we talk about positives and negatives of the golf course. We'll start with the positives. I think the course is very well maintained, all things considered. Every single golf course in our area, especially one have a lot of elevation changes, struggle with things like repairing cart paths and understanding that it's just going to be a lot of wear and tear on the golf carts. And honestly, it's well maintained. All things considered, it's well maintained. Could there be a little bit more attention to detail? Sure. But guess what? That costs money. That takes a lot of manpower. If you want the course to be manicured, you're typically not going to have a course that gets played a ton, because if the course is getting a lot of play, and I think Greencastle would fall into that category, you're not going to have the time to go out and make sure that the bunkers are absolutely pristine. The last time I played, the bunkers of several holes were really rough, to the point where it wasn't even a rake in place. A lot of them had standing water. Some you could rake in place and be fine. Others were just normal, but they were working on it. We'll put it that way. But it is well maintained. I mentioned the nice clubhouse. It's really easy to get to. It's a really cool setup. I love, where you get your carts, where you can go to the putting green, the pro shops, all right there. It's really great. I do think a positive is that it is a challenging golf course. And the design in and of itself is a challenge. We've all played golf courses where you play and maybe you shoot well, maybe you have a 73 and you're like, man, but then you think back on the course like, oh gosh, I didn't even play that well. I mean, yeah, I scored well and obviously that's a great score, but I didn't play that well. If you go out on this golf course, because it is a challenging course, and you were to card a 77, you're going to leave feeling really, really good about yourself, because that means that you played a really solid round of golf. That doesn't mean that there weren't shots that you want back, but ultimately it's that type of challenging golf course. I will say that the overall cost on average, typically it's around $50, give or take. They do have twilight rates. They have specials during the week. It might go up to over 65 in the summertime, which is very typical for anymore with a cart. You cannot walk this golf course, just so you know. I'm not putting that as a negative, even though I am a walker. There's no way. There are some drives in between tee to green or green to tee that are very up, going down steep hills. It's also a lot of distance between A and B. So I do think they do have high school matches there, but I'm pretty sure they have coaches that can take these golfers from one place to the other. But the cost in and of itself, around $50, that's tough to beat in today's day and age. And lastly, I mentioned they have a full practice area in the wintertime. They do have simulators available. I haven't gone up and used those yet. Maybe I will now that I know that they're there. But ultimately, there are a lot of positives about this course. But every course, even the best courses around, they do have negatives. So I already mentioned this. It's a little rough around the edges. And if you go to Greencastle Golf Club, their website, and go to the course, they have a YouTube video. And it's just some drone footage with some piano music in the background. It's nothing fancy. But that drone footage is 100% accurate. They show number 10 as a prime example. It's a long par 4, and they do have this island green with a lake that wraps almost all the way around the entire green. Last time I played, the water was low. You had some green growing in where that lake used to be, and they showed it. That's accurate. They showed other holes where the bunkers weren't perfect, and I'm okay with that. Don't sell me something that isn't factual and what it is in real life. It's a little rough around the edges, but they're not trying to hide that. I think that it's a well-maintained golf course for all things considered. I don't like that there's so many blind shots or shots that aren't necessarily blind, but those holes where if you were your first time playing, that you would say, I wish I wouldn't have hit that club there. So, one hole that comes to mind, I'm trying to go through the course in my head. Number five. Number five is an elevated tee box. You hit down into the fairway, and then it continues to go down towards the green. So if you're standing there and you're looking at the hole, you're thinking, "Wow, if I can clear that ledge, I can clear that fairway where it just starts to all run down to the green. I could be talking about a chip down to the green." Well, what you don't know if you've never played the course before is that if you go over that ledge and you hit it too far, then you run down into a lake and then your ball is lost. And now it's a bigger issue. Instead, you should be taking a 3 iron, a 5 wood, or a 3 wood, trying to play to the top of that fairway and then hitting your approach shot, which would be about 115 yards down to that green that sits with the guarded front left lake. So those are some of the holes where you're like, oh gosh, if I would have known, I would have played the hole different. I don't necessarily like those type of courses at the first time you play it. You find yourself saying, geez, if I just wish I would have known. There's a par five on the front nine as well, where it's a dog leg right. They do have some signage that talks about aim point, where you should be aiming. But if you think that you're just supposed to go straight where you think that you're supposed to hit the ball and you hit a driver because it's a par five, you are going to find yourself in someone's front yard. There are houses all along there, and you're going to hit it way too far. So either you hit a 3 wood and you just kind of lay it up on a par five, and that sucks to say it. I understand that. Or you have to hit a driver, but you have to play it right and you have to really cut the corner. It's a dangerous shot. You have a hole coming the other way, but still, that's some of the stuff I don't like necessarily about the layout and the design of the golf course. I'll tell you something else. Again, golf courses, I understand, are a bane on the environment. They are a life suck to the environment, whether it's the pesticide use, whether it's the water that they have to utilize to keep it green and keep it plush. There is something, though, nice about being out in nature and having some beautiful views. And that's something I used to love about Greencastle. At Greencastle Golf Club, I still call it Greencastle Greens out of habit. I would stand on certain tee boxes. You would just look out and it was just a beautiful land. I mean, it was just unbelievably gorgeous. And if you played in the afternoon and the sun's starting to go down, like you would have some unbelievable views of that southern Pennsylvania, northern Maryland, the Mason-Dixon line is what you think of. And now I would say 75% of those views are gone. The views are there, but instead of seeing rolling hills and wooded area, you're seeing developments. These cookie cutter homes that are just being put together very, very rapidly. It drives me crazy. I understand it. I know why they do it, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. There's a par three that used to just be a nice little par three, and now you have all these houses surrounding the back, and nothing was more disturbing. The last time I played it last year, it was hole 17, which, to give you kind of a mental lay of the land, you have a long par four, but it's all downhill. If you hit a good drive, you're golden. And you've got about a 45 yard fairway, not a really huge fairway. If you go a little bit right, I'm talking if you go 5 yards right, that ball is going to hit to the right. It's going to probably catch the cart path and it's going to go into the woods and you're going to lose your golf ball. The bailout used to be on the left. There were big mounds that would kind of redirect it back towards the fairway. And if you went over those mounds, you might be in some higher grass, but a lot of times you were going to find the golf ball and be able to play it. Well, now the developers that have come in, the mounds that are on the left are still there, but they literally cut them straight in half. And so now that 45 yard fairway, you have 5 yards probably on each side of leeway. And you're either in someone's backyard now or your ball's right. And I understand. And there's people probably listening to this saying, Jeff, hit the fairway then. I get it. I'm speaking as someone that's thinking about other types of golfers who might be golfing on that course. So I just hate the fact that some of those really beautiful views have now been kind of disturbed. We'll put it that way. It's very hilly, a lot of elevation changes, nothing I'm not used to growing up in Wheeling, West Virginia. It's very similar to that. But it's also very sloping. Never do you have a flat lie, very rarely. And so if you're someone that struggles with the ball above or below your feet, or you have a hillside stance, if you don't like that, then this course isn't for you. And then lastly, I just think sometimes it's too much target golf. It's too much target golf. You don't have many golf holes where you can stand on the tee box, you see the entire hole, and you say, okay, it's just get the driver out and hit it as far as you can. There's not many holes on this course that are like that. It is okay, I'm going to stand on the tee. Number one's a great example. You have a split fairway. I could try and draw it a little bit around these trees. I could maybe even drive the green, but you can't see the green. And it's just, you don't know what to do. And again, it's a little bit too target golf for me. So you have a lot of positives. You also have some negatives. Where does this fall on the 5-star rating scale? Believe it or not, just because it's a tough golf course and just because it's target golf and just because you have blind shots and there are some holes that you wish you would have known about before you played, I'm giving this a 4 out of 5. I am. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. I really enjoy, not just past tense, I really enjoy golfing on this golf course. I try to play it at least once a year, if not more. I wish I could play it more. They have very reasonable rates. If you want to be a member and you live locally, it's not crazy expensive like some clubs are in our area. So there you have it. Greencastle Golf Club. If you check me out on Twitter and or Instagram at @thegolf_life, I will tag them and all this stuff, gain some exposure for them. Maybe they get a few more people to come and play the golf course. That's what this is all about. But it's me talking about the latest golf courses that I've played and have enjoyed playing. And in this case, we're talking about formerly Greencastle Greens, now the Greencastle Golf Club. I will be back next week for a full line of shows. We have obviously the Fairways and Dreams podcast on Tuesday. Also, we have a slew of the press podcast with my picks for the PGA Tour. You name it, we'll look for a 2-man scramble next week. But in the meantime, we finish it up. Be safe, be kind, and God bless. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll see you next week. Take it easy.